Hello, everybody. Welcome to another session. Today we are working on Excel practice exercise 8. I've already gone ahead to enter the data or some data into the file, a file called PATA. I've done this to save time. So go ahead to pause the video, enter your data, and let's work together to complete this number. This number looks at all the three processes of what if. It looks at scenarios, looks at goal seek, and also looks at data tables. It requires us to use all those three what if processes. So we are going to get started by entering the data that is needed. So we are told that the company produces 500 cakes per day. That's where we have put our quantity, and we are going to put that value there of 500. And we are told that the variable costs are 400 shillings per cake. So we go ahead and put in the value of 400 shillings. And we are told that in order to produce cakes, we have fixed costs of 150,000. So we go ahead and put in the 150,000. And finally, we are told that each cake is sold for 1,000 shillings. So we go ahead and put in the amount of 1,500 shillings. Don't forget to save. So question A tells us to present different scenarios for the quantity to produce and the price at which to sell each cake. And we are given three scenarios there, scenario 1, 2, and 3. And we are also given the quantity and the price for each of the different scenarios. So remember what we said in an earlier video. Whenever you're using the what if functions, you have to have variable cells and a resultant cell. You need a cell that calculates the final value. And since this time we need to make variable cells of quantity and price, you have to ask yourself, so what exactly can I calculate that is going to incorporate both the quantity and the price? And one of the things we can do is calculate either the revenue, because revenue is a result of both quantity and price. You multiply the quantity sold and the price at which you sold each item, and we are able to get the revenue. So let's go ahead and put a cell for revenue. And we put our formula in, which is equal to the quantity times the price, and we are going to enter. Okay, now we go ahead and put in the different scenarios using the what if scenario manager. So we click on data and we go to what if and we select the option scenario manager. And scenario manager comes up with the option to add the different scenarios. So scenario 1, let's go ahead and add. Step 1 is to put in the scenario name. So I type the scenario name, which is scenario 1. By changing which cells, you click in the space where it says by changing, and you have to go and click on the cells that are going to be changing. So the first thing that will change is the quantity. So I click on quantity and I put a comma. The comma means you have something else you'd like to change. And I also click on the price, and that is done. So we are done with the first scenario and we click OK. And it gives us the scenario or the values. We are supposed to enter the values for the first scenario. So for the first scenario, the quantity is supposed to be 600. And the value, the price is supposed to be 1,100. and we click add. If we click OK, it takes us back to the scenario manager palette, but we want to add another scenario, so we go ahead and click add. And we type in the second scenario name, which is scenario 2, and we click OK. And we go ahead and type the second value, which is 650. I use the tab key, and the next one is 1000, and I add. And the last scenario is scenario 3. I type in the scenario name and I click OK. And the third scenario is 500 for the quantity and 1200 for the price. So now that I'm done with all the 3 scenarios, I click OK. And it takes us back to the scenario manager palette, and we are ready to get a summary. If we just click show, it will show us, but it won't save our work for us. So we need to click summary. Go ahead and click summary. And it will ask you that in the report, what exactly do you want to see in your summary? Make sure that the result cell that is being selected is the one for revenue. The computer will automatically know this. However, if you have several calculations, it may not know which cell to select. So just make sure the correct cell is being selected, and we click OK. And there we go. You notice that we have a new worksheet that has scenario summary. This is sheet 1 where we were working. This is what we started with, and we get a scenario report. Okay, we move ahead to part B, which tells us, assuming that we have decided to sell each cake at 1,100, use GoalSeek to find out how many units to produce such that the profit is 350,000 per day. Okay, what does this mean for us? One, let's go back to our worksheet. And this time we need to calculate profit, and we are going to use GoalSeek. Okay, so we are going to calculate the total costs. And this is equal to the variable costs. Remember, these are costs for each item times the quantity. So that is the costs, the variable cost times the quantity plus the variable costs. Now, why did I not use brackets for this simple formula? I was basing on BODMAS. BODMAS tells us brackets of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So that is the order that Excel also follows, that if you have multiplication and addition in your formula, the computer will first multiply before it adds. So it will first multiply the variable costs, and then it will add on the fixed costs after. So that's our formula for total cost, which is 350. So okay, so we are going to calculate our profit, and the profit is going to be equal to, click in that cell, equal to the revenue minus the total cost, and we enter. So this is the profit when the price is 1,000. Remember, we were told to assume that we are selling each cake at 1,100. So let's change this to 1,100. And the profit has changed to 200,000 in this formula. So now we are ready to activate our GoalSeek. Make sure you click in the cell for profit, go to data, and select the option what if, and you click GoalSeek. Now, automatically, because it is the cell you selected, it is showing up as B12. That's where my cell is, and there's a dotted line going round. You're going to click where you have the value, and what value do we want for profit? It is 350,000. And what cell do we want to change? We were told how many units should we produce. So click where you have by changing cell, and you click the quantity. And we are going to click OK. And we have calculated how many items need to be sold. So according to this, the quantity has to be 714 pieces or above, which is 715 in actual sense. I hope you gained out of that. We are going to go to part C. And part C, we are supposed to create a data table based on the information provided. So we are going to do the same thing. We shall create a data table where X represents the profit. So let us start with our X. And we are going to put the values here. Notice that the values are sequential. They follow a sequence. So I'm going to type the first two values, and I'm going to use the fill handle to drag this across and stop at 1,500. And I'll put a heading here to show what these values are for. These values are for the unit price. Okay, and on the left side, I'm also going to put values, and these values are going to be for the quantity. And they are also sequential. So I will also use the fill handle to drag this down until we get the last value, which is 700. Okay, so there we are. And we have been told to base our X, or the corner of the data table, the top left corner, on the profit. So we type the equal sign and we go ahead and click on profit. And we enter. So we are now ready to use the data table. All we need to do is select all the values. Make sure you're accurate in your selection. Go to data on the main menu bar and select what if, and you select the option data table. So our raw input is going to be the price. So go ahead and click on price. And the column input over here is the quantity. So go ahead and click on quantity and you click OK. And our data table has been created. So this is just clean up to make our table look nice, not anything extra that is added to this. And I'm going to just turn the quantity round. Remember how we rotate our text so that our data looks neat. Okay, and I'll merge these cells so that the data table is not affected. Okay, and I'll put this in the middle. So there we go. Actually, let me put it at the bottom. There we go. I did that so that I could change this to make the quantity fit properly. Okay, so there we are. We have finished Excel 8, and I hope you have learned how to use the what if processes, the scenario manager, the goal seek, and the data table.